So I have a lot of students coming into my classes right now that have sore backs and sore muscles from all of the gardening that they've been doing. So first I just want to mention that there's a little bit of a different sequence you would do before gardening versus what you would do after gardening. Most gardening involves a lot of bending forward, which is why it can be really hard on the lower back. So before you start gardening, to kind of open up the tightness in the back and to prepare, and then there's some sequence of postures that we can do after gardening to help to counteract all of that bending forward that you've done as you're gardening. So let's get started with that. So the first posture that we'll explore that's good for before gardening is a squat. So you're going to bring your feet out wide. Now if your feet, no matter how wide you bring them, you won't be able to get your heels to the floor, you can roll up a towel or a blanket or put a yoga block underneath your heels because we want to be able to root the weight back. So we don't want the heels off the ground. So bringing the heels to the floor, bringing the hands together, bring the elbows inside the knees. So oftentimes when people squat, they start to bring their shoulders inside the knees. I want you to bring your elbows in so the spine is still long. And then you're going to gently push your hands together a little bit and push the knees apart. So I'm stretching out my lower back, my hips, and my inner thigh here. And keep your spine long and draw your shoulders down. So this is a good posture to start with before we start our gardening. So there's one, there's a squat. Another one is actually coming into what's called forward hero or child's pose. So knees are wide for this, and you're going to stretch yourself out and bring your forehead down to the floor. So that again is just a really good stretch for the lower back. One more that's good for before gardening. But you're just going to lie down and cross your ankle over your knee. Some people are going to feel a stretch right here. We're targeting the hip, butt, IT band area. If you don't, then you can either tuck a yoga block or a book under the foot that's on the floor so that the legs come higher, or if you can, with leaving your head on the floor, you can hold on to the back of your leg, drawing the legs closer to you. So again, we're stretching our hip, butt, and IT band. You want to make sure to keep the toes of the leg you're stretching active. So keep this foot active so that the knee and the ankle are protected. So here's a great one to do before. And then you would just switch sides. You can hold this from anywhere from 6 to 12 breaths. Again, just stretching out the hip and the butt. So there's a few postures that you can do before your gardening. After your gardening, you want to take into account the fact that you've been rounded forward the whole time. So we want to reverse that in our back. So we want to do a couple of back bends and a twist. So you can do any number of back bends. You could do locust, which I have another video for already, or you could just take Sphinx pose. So coming to your belly and bringing your arms right underneath your elbows under your shoulders and just using the arms to lift you up a little bit. You could also take more height underneath your arms if you find that this is a really comfortable or easy pose for you. So Sphinx pose, like so. Or you could turn your hands out and start to straighten your arms, coming into what we in yin may call seal pose. So this is great too because we're reversing the action in the lower back from when we were rounding forward. So because you were bending forward while you're gardening, now we want to do some back bending. And you can hold these anywhere from about 6 to 12 breaths or up to a couple of minutes. So those are a couple of back bends that you can do. Great. If you have either a yoga bolster or you have a couple of blankets you could roll up, is doing reclined butterfly. So taking a yoga bolster and sitting in front of it, bringing the soles of your feet together, and then you can lie back on your bolster. Bring your arms either in a low V or straight out from your shoulders, or if you're quite open, maybe cowboy surrender. But don't do this if your arms are floating in the air. So this is a great one to do after gardening as well. Your feet can come as close or as far away from you as is comfortable for you. And you could also take yoga blocks or books and put them underneath your knee, off to the side, and use your hands to come on up. So that's another back bend. So I would recommend a couple or 3 back bends, and then a lion twist. So bringing your arms out again, bending your knees, bringing the legs over. Again, with your arms, they could be straight out or in cowboy surrender, and just feeling that nice big stretch through your lower back. So twisting to both sides. And again, you could do anywhere from 6 to 12 breaths to, a couple of minutes. Once you've twisted to both sides, taking happy baby pose. So bringing your knees apart and towards your underarms, reaching up for your feet. You want to try to keep your head on the floor. So if you can't reach your feet, you can just hold on to your legs, your shins, or your ankles. But reaching up for the feet, and then bringing the feet apart, soles of the feet facing the ceiling. So this is a great stretch for the lower back and really good for the hips. So you can hang out here for a few minutes in happy baby. You can even roll a little bit there from side to side. See if there's a little spot that needs a floor massage, which usually there is. And then you can slowly roll that all the way over. And again, bring yourself up. So there you go. A little pre-gardening sequence, a little post-gardening sequence. I hope that you find that helpful. Taking a few minutes to stretch before and after will make it so that you're not as sore the next day after your gardening. Enjoy. Namaste.